Good morning, students. Welcome to Lattice Theory live lecture. In this lecture, we will be discussing about polynomials in lattices and what is meant by identities and inequalities in terms of polynomials. Okay. So, if you see yesterday's lecture, just a second. So, yesterday we have discussed and stopped at. So, what?
Making this full screen. So if we see yesterday, we have stopped at complete lattice, right? Yes. So this complete lattice, there is a small here this clarity. So let me prove it that again for today, and then we will go to next one. So we'll discuss what is meant by complete lattice. So a definition is that a lattice is called complete if infimum of h and supremum of h exists for every subset. Okay, for every subset h of L, not necessarily finite. Of course, if it is finite, then it is lattice. We are going one step ahead. If it is true for every subset, then we say that set is called complete lattice. Okay, and we have proved a result saying that it is enough if we check whether infimum of h or supremum of h exists. So we can deposit, you can call it P or L, whatever. Deposit P. So we are not even checking whether it is a lattice or not. We are directly giving a poset P is a complete lattice if and only if the infimum of h, or you can call it beta of h, okay, exists for every subset h, for every subset h of this P. Okay, that means it is enough if we check one condition. So take any poset, if at all infimum of every subset of that exists, then we can call it that as a complete lattice. So how we have proved this one? Let h be a subset. Let h be a subset of P. We want to show that for this subset, supremum of h exists. Therefore, it will become a complete lattice, right? So to show that, we'll consider the set. Consider the set K, which is nothing but all elements which are upper bounds of this set. So alpha says that alpha is a upper bound for this set H. Okay. Then we because this is a subset, so as K is a subset of P, by assumption, what we know is that the infimum of K exists. Infimum of K exists. Okay, so we can call it, say, A is equal to infimum of K, or you can call it this beta of K. Beta of K. Meet of, this is just a notation, meet of K, right? Now we will claim that because this is the greatest lower bound of this one, and each one is an upper bound of H, this obviously will become the least upper bound for H. So we will claim that this A is nothing but join of H or supremum of H, right? So for that, we want to show that A is first of all an upper bound and it is the least upper bound, right? So why it is an upper bound? Let H belongs to H. So if we take any element in H, we want to show that A is less than or equal to H. But what we know about K? K is nothing but, if we take any element in K, it is an upper bound for H. Okay. So therefore, then you can write that because it is an upper bound, what you will get here is H is less than or equal to alpha for every alpha in K. Since alpha is an upper bound for H. So if you take any element in H is less than or equal to that element. So for every alpha in K, every element of alpha in K, H is less than or equal to that. Therefore, that shows that this implies H is a lower bound. H is a lower bound for this set K or not. Are you following? Why H is a lower bound? Because every element of K is bigger than or equal to this H, and hence H is a lower bound for K. Right? But what is greatest lower bound for K? Greatest lower bound for K is A. A is greatest lower bound since A is infimum of K and H is a lower bound. So therefore, what is relation between H and A? Because A is greatest lower bound, so you will get that H is less than or equal to A. So we started with the H, an element, any arbitrary element, and we shown that H is less than or equal to A. This implies A is actually A is an upper bound. A is an upper bound for this set H, right? And then we want to show that it is least upper bound. To show it is least upper bound, let B be an upper bound, B be an upper bound, any upper bound for H. But B is an upper bound for H means where this element will be, because our set K is collection of all upper bounds. That means this means B belongs to the set K. So B is an element of K and A is an greatest lower bound. So in particular, it is a lower bound. So what we will get as A is infimum of K. We don't require even infimum here. It is enough if we know that A is a lower bound of K. So A is a lower bound of K and B is an element of K. What we get? A should be less than or equal to B, right? So that shows that A is least upper bound. Therefore, A is nothing but supremum of H, which we can denote in this notation. Okay, so yesterday we had missed a little bit about just using the fact that H is less than or equal to alpha. So therefore, H will become lower bound. We have directly assumed that H is less than or equal to A. So that we have cleared. Now, is this clear? Any doubt in the theorem proof? The idea is very simple. We have collected all upper bounds. Then among all upper bounds, we have taken the least among that. Okay. So how we did that? We have considered all upper bounds of that set, and we know that by given condition for this greatest exists. Okay. So that whatever greatest is there, that will be the least upper bound for our set H. Are you following? Can you hear me? Hello? Yes. Okay. So that was the yesterday small clarification. So we started that. Now we go to polynomials. Okay. Because polynomials in anywhere plays very important role. So polynomials in lattice. We'll check this. So simply it is very, for example, if you take in group theory or anywhere, what is a polynomial? It is just like if it is in a one variable, something like x square plus 2x plus 3 like that, right? Or x square plus a naught x plus b naught and so on. If it is a polynomial in two variables, then x square plus xy and so on, right? So here how we will think of a polynomial in lattice? If I have suppose two variables x naught and x1, then x naught itself is a polynomial you can think of, x1 is a polynomial you can think of, but in lattices we don't have anything meaning of plus and minus. Is this clear? But in lattice what we know? In lattice we know something about meet and join. Is this clear? So take elements, variables, then so some of the examples before defining, it is natural to say that x naught is one polynomial or x1 join x3 is another polynomial. Okay, x1 meet x2 join x3. So whatever here between variables, what set of n array lattice polynomials. That means this P of n, whatever this is, nothing but this is a set of n array lattice polynomials such that this set should have, first thing is that each xi, okay, if there are polynomials in n variables x naught up to xn minus 1, so then each xi should belongs to P of n for every I from 0, 1 up to n minus 1. That means our variables are x naught up to xn minus 1. Okay, these are all polynomials in n variables. Okay. Now second one, as if P and Q, if these are two polynomials belongs to this set, then obviously what our guess should be, this should be the smallest set. Okay, a set of n polynomials, P meet Q should belongs to here, and P join Q also should belongs to here. Okay, so whenever two polynomials are there, their meet and join should be there, and this should be the smallest set containing these properties. Then you can call it this is set P of n. Even somewhere we'll write this is the smallest set. A set P of n, we can call it is a smallest set satisfying these two conditions. Then we denote that by P of n. Now what is this n array polynomial? So is obviously where any n array polynomial, where any n array polynomial is an expression of x's, okay, of x's involving meet and join. Okay, just for example, how you can have any n array polynomials. So if I take my n is 3, that means 3 variables. So x naught, x1, x2. Then can you give some n array polynomial, 3 array polynomial? Can you give some 3 array polynomials? I can give x naught join x1 join x2. This is my one polynomial. Are you following? So can you give any other polynomial? You have to give 3 array polynomials. It is not necessary that all 3 variables will be involved. In particular, for example, x naught meet x1. This is also a 3 array polynomial. Okay, if you want, you can mention here x naught comma x1 comma x2. Are you following? Right? If I write another one, I can write as x naught join x1 meet x2. Okay, these are all different polynomials you can get when n is equal to 3. Right? Are you following? So if we using this, what we should understand here is we can define another definition like a polynomial, because the above one is set of polynomials, the smallest containing that. So a polynomial or a polynomial function also you can call it. Okay, a polynomial in P of n is a function satisfying the following conditions. So just like in our regular polynomials, we know what is meant by polynomial f of x. By the moment f of 2, how we can calculate? By substituting 2 in that point, right? Satisfying. The first one is if at all our polynomial p, if you call it x naught, x1 up to xn minus 1, okay, if it is just one variable, if it is a monomial, that means if I call it xi, if it is just a polynomial in one variable, then naught up to a n minus 1? Simply ai. Are you following? It is just like if you have polynomial f of x comma y is just x. Then what is f of 2 comma 3? Is simply 2. There is no matter of second coordinate there. Right? Fine. Then second one is that how we will evaluate polynomial in the form, suppose if polynomial evaluated at a naught up to a n minus 1 is a, and suppose you take another polynomial q is evaluated at a naught up to a n minus 1 is b, that value is b, okay, and you have another polynomial r which is p meet q, okay, and you can take t is another polynomial join. So what you should understand here is, then can somebody tell what should be the r of a naught a1 up to an minus 1? What is the value of r of this? And t of a naught up to an minus 1. Hmm? So your p evaluated. Very good. Very good.
R of I naught up to a n minus 1 is equals to a meet b.
A meet b. Very good. It is nothing but t is nothing but a join b. So what you should understand here is that if you have a polynomial which is meet of two polynomials, and if you know those polynomials evaluated at a particular point, then we know this polynomial evaluated at that point. Is this clear? So r of a naught up to a n minus 1, because your r is p meet q, and we know p value and q value at a naught a1 up to a n minus 1, then we automatically know what is r of a naught up to a n minus 1, which is nothing but meet of those values. Is this clear? Right. So it is enough if you know
Yes, sir.
what is the value p at some particular point, right? Then you can evaluate any polynomial involving those polynomials p and q, right? So if you have p meet q, then you another polynomial, all those things we can evaluate using this. That is the meaning of a polynomial. So whenever we call it something is a polynomial, so you can call it a polynomial p. Okay. Polynomial should satisfy what is the condition? If at all it is a monomial, obviously it should take value only as a one value. And if p is there and q is there, then you have, if at all you have two polynomials p meet q and p join q, then those polynomials evaluated at a particular point is actually coming from this p and q, simply by taking meet and join, right? Just take an example to understand. These are all simple things, but we should understand clearly, because later we will use simply statements. Suppose I'll take my n is equal to 3. Okay, that means we have x naught, x1, x2. Okay, I'll have p x naught, x1, x2, which is simply my x naught join x2. Remember, polynomial need not have all variables defined there. Okay, then q of, I'll call it x naught, x1, x2. This means these are all polynomials in three variables. Suppose I will call it x1 meet x3, x2 here, x1 meet x2, right? Then what should be our if you call it, then just you define. Okay, so what is, you can take now also. Then what can you say about p of a, b, c? If you evaluate an a, b, c, then it is simply a join b, and q of a, b, c is nothing but b meet c. Are you following? If I have if r is equal to p meet q, okay, and t is equal to p join q, then what can you say about r of abc? Then r of abc is simply meet of these two, that is a join b meet with b meet c. Are you following? But what is this value? What can you say about this value? Hmm? Whether we have any relation here? Huh? What? This b meet c is less than or equal to this value or not? meet C is less than or equal to B meet C is less than or equal to B is less than or equal to A join B. So therefore, when you try to meet with this, what you will get is the smaller one. Absorption property. And what is T of A, B, C? Is join of those two values. A join B join B meet C. Right? Now what is this one? Because you are joining the smaller element, so you won't get anything, you get E join. Is this clear? So you can evaluate any polynomial using the known polynomials, right? Okay. Actually, this you might have written this as combination of 4 polynomials, 1, 2, 3, then and so on, right? Fine. Now we define another terminology called rank of a polynomial. Okay. So what is meant by rank of a polynomial? And we use this rank of polynomial several times further. So we can define this, we can understand this in 2 ways. So rank of a polynomial here is nothing but the number of variables involved in that polynomial. Counting multiplicity. What is meant by counting multiplicity? For example, x naught join x naught, if I write. Okay. So we will understand. We write this and we'll try to understand this one. Rank is the number of variables involved, with counting multiplicity. What is meant by counting multiplicity? Even if a variable is involved 2 times, we have to count that many times. Okay. Suppose x1 is involved in that polynomial 3 times, then that x1 should be counted as 3 variables. Okay, 3 times it is repeated involved in that polynomial. Or we can also define that rank of polynomial. That polynomial, suppose if we can write as P meet Q, rank of P meet Q is same as rank of P join Q, and this is same as rank of P plus, using this formula we can calculate rank of Q, okay, where rank of any monomial by considering as 1. So if you know rank of a monomial, then using this formula we can get rank of any polynomial. Is this definition clear? Okay. So if I take the previous example, suppose if I take my example as if P is equal to x naught join x1, okay, meet with x3 join x4, right? Then suppose I write here x naught. Then what should be the rank accordingly here? Because how many variables it is involved here with counting multiplicity. So x naught, x1, x3, x4 and x naught, right? So then rank of P should be what? 5. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables are involved here. Are you following? Is this clear? Yes. And you can also do it with by considering this is also, you can understand. This is just like your, call it R. This is just like your T. Then what is rank of R here? Rank of R, because it is join of 2 monomials. So rank of R is rank of, yes, rank of x naught plus rank of x1, which is 1 plus 1, 2, right? And here it is rank of 3. So therefore, similarly, rank of T is 3. This implies rank of P is 2 plus 3, which is 1. So you can find rank in any ways, but one can understand is how many variables, not different variables, how many variables are involved in that polynomial. No matter, same variable can be repeated many times, that many times we have to count it. Is this clear? Okay. Now why we require this rank, we can give a characterization. We can give characterization for our uh, if you remember this h, if h is any set, then this is the sublattice, smallest sublattice generated by h. Whether you remember that, that is the smallest sublattice generated by h. We'll try to give this any element here in the form of polynomials. Okay. So how we'll define here is, let h be a subset of a lattice L. You take L is a lattice. Then an element will be here in the smallest sublattice if and only if A is actually a value of some polynomial evaluated at some point. That means A is equal to P of, I'll write some h naught, h1 up to hn minus 1, okay, for some n greater than or equal to 1, and this P belongs to, this is a polynomial, P belongs to that P of n. That means it is a polynomial in that set, right? It is a polynomial, and this hi's should belongs to h. Okay. So is this statement clear first of all? So when we say that A will be there in that smallest sublattice, if and only if A is value of some polynomial, some n array polynomial, by substituting this hi's. Is this clear? So whenever A can be written as P of something, hi's, where hi's are coming from h, then we can guarantee that A is in there. That is obviously clear, because intuitively what is our h? That square bracket h. What is our square bracket h? Our square bracket h is, so this one, we know it is the smallest lattice, or you can sublattice generated by h. So what is meant by generated by h? Any element should be combination of elements of h with the help of join or meet. Is this clear? So if you have something like a meet b, or something called it x meet y, then it is actually polynomial meet of those two variables, right? So here we have, intuitively it is correct, but let's prove it. So prove, whenever you want to say that an element here is of this form, we'll consider this whatever if after if and only if statement, we'll consider that in put it in a set. We'll show that that set is equal to this one. We have shown earlier also such type of thing. So we consider this set S. S is nothing but A. Okay, we consider A if A is of the form P of h naught up to hn minus 1, okay, where n is greater than or equal to 1, P is a polynomial, okay, n array polynomial, and this hi's belongs to h. Okay, we are taking S exactly what we require here, and we will show that. So we will show that once we show that this S is a sublattice, S is a sublattice such that this contains h and it is contained in this one. Okay, so it may be not visible here, so let's try this. So we will show that this is our claim, S is a sublattice such that S contains h and it is contained there. Then obviously what it will become, this is same as, then your S actually will be same as the smallest sublattice, because the square bracket of h means what? The square bracket of h is nothing but, it is the smallest sublattice containing H. But we are getting S, which is also a sublattice containing H. So therefore, they have to be equal. Are you following? This is our idea. So therefore, how any element look like here, and that is also here. So we will prove that S is a sublattice and satisfying this condition. First, we show that S satisfies this condition. Okay. So clearly, H is contained in S. Why H is contained in S? That means why H, any element of H is here? Because we know that monomials, you take n is 1 and your polynomial is a identity polynomial. Okay, that means P of X is X. So just to understand, you write better. P of X is simply X, right? Then what is your P of H? What is your P of H will become? Then for any H in H, what is P of H will become? Is obviously H, right? So therefore, your any H is written as P of some evaluated, particularly at that point. This shows that this H belongs to S. This implies H is contained in S. Let me repeat, this is very simple. Why H is contained there? By simply taking n is 1. That means one array polynomials we are taking. Okay, one array polynomials. What is set of one array polynomials? Are simply one polynomial containing this R. X meet X is X, X join X is X. So you will have only one polynomial in one array polynomials, right? That is this. Then for any H belongs to H, obviously P of H is same as H. So you can write H as P of H. So therefore H is contained in S. Now we want to show that, to show S is contained in, this H, start with let A belongs to S. That is, A is nothing but P of, you can call it some H naught, H1 up to Hn minus 1. Okay, where this Hi's are belongs to and P is a polynomial, right? Somehow we want to show that A is there in this sublattice also. Okay, this is the what we know about this square bracket H. It is a sublattice generated by this, right? This we will prove this argument with the help of rank. Okay, induction and rank. So let suppose rank of P is 1. What is meant by rank of P is 1? It involves only one monomial, only one variable. Okay, rank of P is 1. Then what should be our P of? Then P of H naught, H1 up to Hn minus 1. Your rank of P is 1 means your polynomial involves only one monomial. Okay, because if at all x naught and x1 is there, then rank will be 2, right? Is this clear? So it involves only one of those xi's. You can call it, then your P should be of xi for some I. Therefore, this implies P of H of this one is equal to Hi. We know that this belongs to H, but H is contained in the sublattice generated by H. Is this clear? So that shows that our A belongs to this when our rank of P is 1. Now assume that it is true. So assume that if rank of P is K or less than or equal to K, then our A belongs to, okay, our A belongs to this. So we are trying to prove by mathematical induction. We have proved that whenever rank of P is 1, it is true. So assume that if rank of P is K or less than or equal to K, okay, at that time A belongs to H. Now we want to prove that let for rank of P is K plus 1. At that time also we want to show that A belongs to H, right? But if rank of P is equal to K plus 1 means what? It involves K plus 1 variables, okay? Some of them may be repeated also. So we can write, then we can write as P is equal to, okay, some R meet T or R join T. So we can write our polynomial as meet of two polynomials or join of two polynomials where rank of R and rank of T are at most less than or equal to K. Is this clear why? Because if you can write our P is equal to meet of two polynomials, then what is rank? Is sum of those ranks. Sum of R rank of R plus rank of T. So rank of R and rank of T cannot be greater than K. Is this clear? So they should be at most K. They should be either K or less than or equal to K. If one of them is K, the other one obviously it should be 1. Is this clear? But rank of, what we can conclude is that both ranks should be less than or equal to K. So therefore, by our assumption property, what we can assume, therefore, this R of this H naught up to Hn minus 1, okay, and T of H naught up to Hn minus 1, if you call it this is something like B, and if you call it this is like C, then they belongs to where? They belongs to this closed bracket H. Are you following? By our assumption, whenever you have a polynomial, okay, whose rank is less than or equal to K, then those points will belongs to H. This implies, what can you say about P of now A naught up to H naught up to Hn minus 1? This is nothing but, because it is meet or join, this is same as B meet C. This is B and this value is C. That is how we have defined polynomial. Are you following? But this H is a sublattice, so therefore it is closed with respect to meet and join. We are getting that A is nothing but P of H naught up to Hn minus 1, which also belongs to H, right? So therefore by induction, this implies, for it is true for any this. Therefore, if A is equal to P of H naught up to Hn minus 1, then A belongs to H, right? Then A belongs to H, which shows that S is contained in H, right? But as H is smallest sublattice containing S, this you will get that this is same as S provided S is a sublattice, because we should require it should be a sublattice, right? So we are, if we can prove that S is a sublattice, then we are done. So our claim is that whatever set we have defined, S is a actually a sublattice. How we can show that S is a sublattice? Take two elements and show that there it is closed with respect to meet and join. Then obviously it will become a sublattice. So start with let A comma B belongs to S, right? This implies, what is our set S? If we go and see what is our set S, whenever what is element here means it is actually evaluated at some polynomial with some points coming from H. So therefore A you can write as P of, I will call it some H naught up to Hn minus 1, and B it need not be same HIs and need not be same polynomial. B is equal to, I will write some Q of, okay, some call it H naught prime up to H m minus 1 prime, right? Now what we want to show is that we want to show that A meet B belongs to S. So when some element will be in S, some element will be in S, if that can be written as value of some polynomial after substituting some hi's which are in capital H, right? The idea is we'll try to write this A meet S. So I will write this idea here. We'll try to write our idea as A meet B is some polynomial R and some variables. Okay. So those variables are nothing but not only this Hn minus 1, H naught prime up to Hm minus 1 prime. We'll define our idea is A meet B as R of this one where our R is defined, I will call it as some P prime meet Q prime. Okay. So we will try to define P prime and Q prime, which are polynomials in these variables, and our R is this. Okay. Is this clear? And P prime we will define is just using this A, and Q prime we will define just using this B. That is our idea. Okay. So define P prime of H naught, H1 up to Hn minus 1. That means your P prime is a polynomial in n plus m variables. Okay. H naught prime up to Hm minus 1 prime. How we will define? Simply define this as P of where P is evaluated. P is evaluated in these values H naught up to Hn minus 1. So you define this simply as, that means ignore the previous remaining elements. Okay. Alright. What is our Q prime? Q prime of H naught prime Hm minus 1 prime. As how we'll define this? Obviously Q of, can somebody tell? Simply H naught prime and Hm minus 1 prime. Okay. This we are defining. Or if you write it here, x naught, x1 up to in variables, then this one we are defining. Okay. That means only first n variables we are taking, that is our P prime, and Q prime is this one, right? Therefore, and that is our and R of, and therefore what is our R of? Therefore, what and also we'll define R as P prime meet Q prime. So you define P prime and Q prime such a way that those values are this. Okay. And R is this. This implies, what can you say about R of H naught up to Hn minus 1? Then H naught prime up to Hm minus 1 prime. What is this value will become? This value is P prime of evaluated at this value. But P prime evaluated at this value is P of H naught, yes, Hn minus 1 meet with Q of H naught prime up to Hm minus 1 prime. This is same as A meet B. Is this clear? So therefore our A meet B. Therefore our A meet B as actually we have written as, this is the value evaluated at this polynomial at these particular points which are actually coming from H. Is this clear? Where these HI's and HI primes, they are actually belongs to H. Is this clear? So therefore, can we guarantee that now A meet B belongs to S? Is this clear? Because A meet B is actually a value evaluated at this polynomial R, which is a polynomial in n plus m variables. Okay, that means it is a n plus m array polynomial, and HI's and HI primes are coming from H. Therefore, A meet B is actually belongs to S. So similarly, we can prove that A join B belongs to S. What you have to define here is you define your R as join of those polynomials. Is this clear? Hence, S is a sublattice and it contains H. That implies we get that our S is nothing but this, right? So therefore, any element in this sublattice, what you should understand here is any element in this sublattice, we can understand is it is actually value of some polynomial evaluated of using the points of H. Is this clear? Okay. Now what we do here after this one, we can define what is meant by identities. Okay, so we will define, just we'll take color. So what is meant by or what are meant by identities in polynomial? Identities, same thing you can apply for inequalities. Okay, so two polynomials, so an identity or inequality in a lattice is of the form P is equal to Q or P is, see this bracket whatever we are writing, that is meant for inequality. That means what is meant by an inequality in a lattice? Inequality in a lattice, it should be of the form P less than or equal to Q. So whatever I have highlighted in bracket, that is the definition for inequality. Okay, right? What is the meaning of this P equal to Q? If and only if P of whatever you substitute the value, I can call it A naught up to an minus 1. This should be same as Q of A naught up to an minus 1. Or you can, in bracket also you can write in bracket P of A naught up to an minus 1. Whatever we are getting, this should be less than or equal to Q of A naught up to an minus 1. Okay, these are all we know already. When we say, just like when is what is meant by two functions are equal, f is equal to g if and only if f of x is equal to g of x for every x in that domain. Similarly, two polynomials p equal to q, this is an identity or an equality if and only if it is true for all this whatever this ai's belongs to L. If you take any n elements in that lattice, when you substitute, you should get this. Is this clear? This is the definition of a lattice, identities in lattice. A simple, you can check here and then we'll stop. So a theorem, easily we can prove that this polynomials, whatever we take the polynomials, they are isotone. What is meant by isotone? If you recall, isotone maps, because polynomials are maps, are functions. So these functions are isotone means what? If a is less than or equal to b, then phi of a should be less than or equal to phi of b. Okay. So those things we will prove. Maybe we will see the proof statement also in next class. That we will see about polynomials or polynomial functions are actually isotone. Okay, so what is the meaning of that? That is, if you have relation ai less than or equal to bi, so if that is if a naught is less than or equal to b naught and a1 is less than or equal to b1 and so on, an minus 1 is less than or equal to bn minus 1, then you take this p and evaluate at p naught a up to an minus 1 and you evaluate p b naught b1 up to bn minus 1. What should be our guess? this value should be less than or equal to this one. Okay. Not only that, we can say in fact more. If you have these variables x naught, okay, then x1 up to xi minus 1, this is always less than or equal to p of evaluated at those points. This is last n. Okay, xn minus 1, and this one is less than or equal to x naught join x1. Remember this last line, whatever we have written, this one is actually a polynomial, and this is another polynomial, and this is another polynomial. You have three polynomials. We have given relation among those three polynomials. Okay, that means when you substitute any value here, if you call it, this is like p1, this is p2, p3. P1 less than or equal to p2 less than or equal to p3 means by this meaning. Is this clear? That means when you substitute any value, you should get that one, right? This proof we will see in next class. We'll start the proof and we go further inequalities and so on in next class. Now we'll stop here. Okay.